John opens his eyes, his head slightly pounding. He thinks he ate too much. Wait, maybe he drank too much? No, it was only diet soda. It was that cinnamon roll he had before bed. He's thirsty. The smell of Great Value coffee fills his house. He can hear his 3-year-old singing in her room. It's only 6 a.m. John feels rested enough, but still tired, overwhelmed by the responsibilities he has in his life. His commute, work, and weekend coming up, he thinks about his wife, concerned that being a stay-at-home mom is driving her crazy, worried that she's in worse condition than him. But he's also confused because she doesn't want it any other way. They're in the messy middle. John wrestles and constantly struggles with guilt. Work, eat, sleep. It's the daily cycle of his life. He thinks, am I doing this right? John grew up in the heavy conviction era of evangelism. Don't waste your life. Radical. John is reminded daily that this messy middle stage of his Christian journey is nothing like what he was taught when he became a Christian in high school. Fortunately, he now has a mentor, Alan, a 72-year-old retired doctor. Alan has John memorize Psalm 27:4. One thing I ask from the Lord, this only do I seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to gaze on the beauty of the Lord and to seek him in his temple. John can't seem to find the beauty of the Lord as he stares out at Interstate 35 in 7:30 a.m. traffic. The road is torn up and nothing but construction, bulldozers, dirt, broken rocks, cement, rebar are in front of him. It's been like this for months. He finally clocks into work. John likes his job. He works for a pretty famous insurance company, middle management, and leads a team of client-facing consultants. He works with interesting people and gets to help interesting clients every day. On bad days, he's just thankful he's sitting down in an air-conditioned room with no one shooting at him. Today is one of those bad days, though. He's got a cinnamon roll hangover, and every interaction at work seems to be a negative one. After a long day, John leaves work late. His head still hurts and he feels like he's constantly dehydrated, probably because he is. He's apprehensive to go home because he hates coming home late. He works hard but still can't help but feel guilty for leaving his wife alone with their 3 kids, all under age 4. John feels trapped. He has no hope, not much to look forward to. In many ways, this is his life for the next few years, busy, tired, and endlessly toiling under the sun and moon. But as he walks out to his car in the parking garage, a fall breeze brushes against his face. Relief. It's not too hot, it's not too cold. It's like life is breathed back into him, inspired. His mind turns from the worries of his life and he begins to think of all the good things coming up. Projects with his friends, travel he gets to do with his family. He's thankful that he can put food on the table and give his children the opportunity to see exciting places and teach them exciting things. He begins to be relieved from the stress of his life, the worry that's consumed him, all from a simple, beautifully comforting breeze. As he drives home, the horizon overwhelms him. Hues of pink, red, purple, blue, and green fill the night sky. Clouds provide a reflection and canvas for the sky. He sees the city skyline in the distance start to turn on their lights in a combination of blue, yellow, and white. He's well into his 30s, seen thousands of sunsets and skylines, but this one hits different. Why? John is overwhelmed by peace, love, and faith. He's reminded that his God loves him deeply. John is filled with desire again. He wants to be with God. He wants to be with the same God who gave him the sunset, the same God who gave him this work and income, and the same God who gave him this beautifully ordinary life. He decides to turn on his radio instead of the same news podcast he opts for. It's his local public radio, and there's a feature on a musician he's never heard of. It features the sound of pulsing strings and pads in a combination he cannot begin to describe. The skyline and the music take him to another world. He forgets about all his concerns, his guilt, apprehension, and despair, and remembers that he is loved by a God who knows him. Beyond what words can describe, John feels the chief end of man in his body and in his soul, to know God, glorify him, and enjoy him forever. Wherever you turn your eyes, there is no portion of the world, however minute, that does not exhibit at least some spark of beauty. While it's impossible to contemplate the vast and beautiful fabric as it extends around without being overwhelmed by the immense weight of his glory, John Calvin institutes. When we're so filled with dismay, how or what do we need to turn ourselves around? Sometimes we need to do something, and often that thing happens to us. But what if it's a combination of the two? A dance with God to see what cannot be seen without his lead? Or what if it's a campaign or a journey where we need his guidance in areas unknown to us? Grace teaches us that it's solely Jesus' work that saves us both passively and actively. What if our stumbling upon beauty is simply grace on display, or a demonstration of the gospel in front of our very own eyes? We neither earn nor work toward this beauty. It's a freely given grace from God. These topics and much more in today's episode of the Beholding Beauty podcast. This episode of Beholding Beauty podcast is brought to you by 633 Collective, a network of Christian artists and patrons who seek to bring beauty in every art form for the glory of God. Learn more at 633collective.com. And if you like what we do here at Beholding Beauty, please consider financially supporting us at patreon.com/633 Collective. Check out our tiers, toss a few bucks, and enjoy behind the scenes content, bonus episodes, and early access seasons. Join now at patreon.com/633 Collective.
Welcome to the Beholding Beauty podcast, where we seek to discover extraordinary beauty in ordinary places. I'm your co-host Carl, and I'm here with Andrew and co-host Jake as well. And so on this episode, we really want to dig into why. The Simon Sinek, we always want to start with why. So a lot of this episode is really, why are we doing this? And so we're going to talk through some of why is beauty important to us as individuals? We'll talk through why is it important for kind of the cultural moment of how we look at the world and say why are we talking about beauty? And then speaking to our audience of being able to why would you guys talk about beauty? Why is that important? When we were doing some of our trial runs, we had a few people who said, I don't know why this is important. And then they would get done with it. And some of the things I think we're trying to weave in of beauty's been missing and absent. And just the subject of it is not at the forefront of our minds. It's usually an afterthought as well. And so there's some people have given us some feedback saying it's incredibly valuable to grow in how we see and encounter beauty. And so we're going to dig into some of that. Why is this important? But we'll just start with each one of us sharing, but why is beauty important for you? Andrew, do you mind kicking us off?
Yeah. I think beauty is important to me because of the joy that it brings. I think back to a few years ago at university. The grounds that we were at, they did a great job making sure that there are always flowers ready and available, and just so often were in bloom, and it was very stunning if you paused to actually notice them, because they would be along the path to your next class in the next building over. And in the hustle and bustle between classes, a lot of times it's just how fast can I get across campus, and that's it. And it was so easy to miss the flowers that were being cultivated, and the gardener's hard work there. And it was important for me to notice those things, because I found when I didn't look at flowers on a regular basis and I'd slow down when I was next to them, that I would get really sad and just kind of depressed. And so it was bringing joy and bringing life when I would take time out of my normal routine to actually just enjoy the beauty that was around me, and just soak in it. I didn't need to understand anything. There wasn't anything scientific I was trying to discover about the flowers. I was just sitting there soaking in the different colors, the different types of flowers, and that brought joy, brought life, and it really was nourishing for me and my heart. So I think, why beauty is, it brings a lot of joy, and that's really important in today.
Yeah, no, that's good. And if you'll humor me, and even that's like left a mark on you in like your future, even because we've talked, and if I can share this, you've mentioned like when you started wanting to talk about gardening, and you're like, I'm gonna garden one day, and it's all gonna be vegetables, and now you're like,
Yeah.
nope, forget it. I just want flowers.
Give me flowers and that's it.
like just give me the beauty.
Yep. I just wanted a garden for solely utility and just like root vegetables, and anything that grows in it needs to be edible. And now I'm like, I could probably be okay with just flowers. That would be good. That's more nourishing to
funny.
my heart than vegetables.
Yeah, that's good. Well, and I love the part where you're saying the joy in particular of it gives you joy and it gives you life to encounter that beauty.
Can I put my philosopher hat on?
You're always welcome to.
You want that?
I got a doctor of philosophy.
We might
so
edit it
I don't
out,
know.
but you can always...
I'm useful. I contribute to society. Well, I when you asked me that question, I'm trying to like think about it really, and then I think about it's a need. You need to experience beauty, and some may argue, there's Pavlov's hierarchy of needs. Is that right? And you got your bare minimum of like I need my four walls, eat, food, shelter, water. And then above that is relational love. And then above that maybe is like going to a concert or whatnot. But I think without beauty, I think it's an inverse table that, of course, you need to be able to eat food to be able to be capable of enjoying anything. But at least in God's perspective, that beauty enables us to worship him. And without beauty, we worship anything else. And without beauty, we can develop malice and resentment in our hearts, especially because everything around us may be mundane or ordinary or even just bleak and ugly, totally chaotic. It affects our psyche. And I think it's a necessary component of our faith as being Christians that we see beauty around us so that it enables our hearts to worship the Lord. Worship God. And if I could, I would love to see like an inverted hierarchy of need that like at the very end of it is enjoying things like music and going to the cinema, going to theater, going to a ballet or a tap dance concert, and or any other extraneous things like the food or going on nature walks. Like these are the things that point us back to God. All of them exude, they are for his glory, obviously, but they when I think of Westminster Catechism 1 of just like what's the chief end of man, to enjoy God and glorify him forever, and desiring God's mission is a revised version of that how do we enjoy God? By experiencing him. And how do we experience him? By noticing and appreciating beauty and thanking him for that and worshiping him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I think
philosopher hat off.
You can keep it on. No, that resonates with me a lot, and just hearing both of you talk, I think, Andrew, you hit it on the like practical level, and you hit it on the philosophical level, but in some of the senior adult ministry that I've gotten a chance to do and encountering, there's many of them that have survived, and there's many of them that have had pleasure even as they get to the end of their life. But there's still this, did you live? Like, did you live a flourishing life? Did you fully embrace the suffering and the joy that God had for you? And so I think for me, the why beauty is important is because I don't want people to get to the end of their life in Christ and saying, I went to church, I did all these things, or even I had some small groups, but I want to see people flourish, as it talks about in the Sermon on the Mount. There are many people who live, but there are even less, though, that flourish. And so death to life is the beginning of salvation, but to actually live the flourishing Christian life, beauty is a crucial part of it. And I want people to live life to the fullest, not necessarily this hedonistic pleasure, but like you said, Jake, to enjoy God, that there might be this sense of I wake up in the morning and I have joy. all the way to the last day, that your last breath, and you go to be fully with Christ. And I think I just want to see more people have that life and have that life to the fullest.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when we're thinking about the world, as you look out into literally creation, figuratively, culture, to the United States, the globe as we see it, we see the world is in this chaotic space. But why do you think beauty is important with where we're at in just humanity, human history? And, some of our listeners are probably like driving on their way to work right now. And so there's like a casualness to their day. And so we want to have some depth, but we also want to go, hey, why is this important that we're embracing and starting to talk about beauty for the world?
I think one of the main things to kind of take away as to why beauty is so important. This might sound silly, but sometimes in history and in stories, people end up going to war because of beauty. I was just thinking of, what was it, like Helena Troy, where like she was so beautiful they went to war over her. And so just this idea that like beauty can cause such a intense response from not only an individual but also like a nation. And so beauty has the possibility to impact such a like strong response to change a nation and ultimately change the globe. Like that still is in our history books. Like that still is part of epic narratives and stories, is just this beauty that impacts so much more than just one person's heart, but at the same time can be so small and intimate to impact a heart, like an individual. So I think just the transcendence that it brings to both individuals and like nations as a whole, and in big stories, like beauty is a catalyst for what's possible.
Absolutely. And I think I go back to like when I was talking about before with like the needs, and it provides purpose for us, that it gives us something bigger than ourselves to shoot for and to experience, and it helps us zoom out. And there's something I think about often is the fact that there are more people on this earth today than at any point in the world, that we're constantly producing more humans, and there's more people to experience life simultaneously. And given there's birth declines and whatnot, but the idea that just there's in some areas, but then in others they're flourishing and they're booming, and that excites me a lot, that there's just so many people on the earth today, and all of them, as long as they're drawing breath, have the potential to share in your experience and empathize, that no matter how disparate the culture, they're still a human being made in God's image. That and you can experience beauty from their perspective and your own perspective, and it gives us a purpose, a reason to go to work, a reason to raise our kids and to get them through the toddler years, or get them out of our house if you're driving insane. But again, it get that, and that purpose provides a quality of life and improves your quality of life just by experiencing it. And the beautiful thing about that is that it's not a zero-sum game. There's enough pie for everybody. And it's less about pies and more about maybe sharing the light, that we all have a candlestick. And when we share a flame, we're sharing that flame together. And just because one person has one light doesn't mean that another person cannot have that light, that we can all experience that light. And that light is the beauty of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's good. Yeah, it's we actually have a lot more to offer than we usually give ourselves credit for. We live in a consumeristic culture, and we think more people means less resources available, but actually more people generates more creativity, and more creativity actually allows us to till the ground better and to create efficient systems. More people is better for culture than less people. It's kind of our upside down world, that more of Christ actually creates more life, and more people who are made in the image of God creates more opportunity for life to come about. And the earth is rich and deep, and if we care for it well, we actually will give increase.
And the harvest is plenty, but the laborers are few too. And there's so much work to be done.
Yeah, both in like the physical and the supernatural as it all woven together. I think in the world, you just see inherent brokenness. And usually you think of Christianity of like, well, I get saved and then I stop suffering. It's like, no, we're all going to suffer. We're all going to be embraced by it. But suffering can produce that meaning, and you can find beauty within that meaning. And you find the people, the sages who have suffered pretty deeply, and they've resolved it and been at peace with it, that they've gotten, Christ being the ultimate one, have suffered, and he is the ultimate compassionate, kind, gentle. But then you meet other sages who are just, that you can sense they've suffered in their lives, and they're at peace, and there's a joy that's infectious, like you were talking about earlier, it's like they've tasted of beauty, not just the perfection, but there's been chaos in their lives. And I just see that in the second and third world. I see it in the first world. We have an obsession with losing weight. We have there's chaos in how overweight we are, and our food system is in chaos, even though it's so industrious, and our divorce rates are off the charts, and the phrase narcissist is thrown around everywhere. Like, there is so much chaos in the emotional state of the West. And I think rediscovering beauty can settle the soul, help us encounter Christ. And I think the more and more you experience beauty, the more and more you see joy in your life, and then you have more of that to give away, even in the midst of suffering. And I think that's just why beauty is so important for us to encounter these days.
Yeah, absolutely. Very good.
And so I just want to ask, humor me one more question. If you were to encourage like a child version of yourself, maybe between like ages 8 and 10, you're a couple decades later, how would you say, young Jake, young Andrew, young Carl, I'm just going to throw a random one out there. I just feel like, how would you encourage that boy to explore and encounter beauty?
I would say it never stops. You never reach the end. And kind of going back to, we were talking about the complexities of mystery, and sometimes some beautiful things you'll never know the reason why, that there's an unlimited amount of things to know and things to learn and things to experience too, no matter your course of life. And there's no such thing as a boring life. I think another thing I would say to younger Jake is that just because you settle down, marry, buy a house, do a job, and do the same thing over and over again, that is a beautiful life, that it's exciting, and there's a lot to hope for in terms of what new things you can experience and learn by simply staying curious and asking why. Yeah, that good hand nice. Yeah.
I'd say I'd probably tell young Andrew, it's worth it to keep exploring and dive in a little bit deeper. One thing that I've experienced a little bit of is when engaging with like listening to good music, you'll hear something that you really enjoy, like a beautiful symphony, that as you study music theory and the composition of the different instruments that are involved, there's an additional like depth that's there and present in experiencing something beautiful, that you can enjoy it on a deeper level. So it's worth it to keep exploring and diving into beauty in order to like pull out even more of the joy that's available there. Because you listen to a good symphony, it's really enjoyable. Like, oh, the instruments sounded nice. You study music theory and it's like, wow, the way that they were moving through the different chord progressions actually like impacted my hearing in a different manner, which caused like different emotions to come up. And so there's more depth that's available just by diving in. So I'd say, tell younger Andrew, like, keep diving in.
Yeah. I think for me, it's the simplicity of just stay curious. As I've found whenever I think, Andrew, man, you hit it so on the nail when you started this conversation about like when you don't encounter beauty, or you don't stop to think about beauty, when you feel, I call it beauty deficient in the nutrition of your soul, that you end up in that like bitter, frustrated, angry, irritable state. And I think when you stay curious, that's the trigger to go encounter beauty, but staying curious. And whenever I've had moments of getting stuck in my sin or getting depressed or getting frustrated or irritable, when I go, oh, I'm not curious, the Lord constantly is reminding me to stay curious about what life is like. And then there, when you go find and encounter beauty, it keeps you moving, it keeps you nourished along the way, and pointing back and worshiping God, which is the chief end as well. So,
Well, that is beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Why is beauty important to you? Take a few moments to reflect on your past. Where do you see beauty? Where has God given you this free gift of grace? This episode of Beholding Beauty podcast is brought to you by 633 Collective, a network of Christian artists and patrons who seek to bring beauty in every art form for the glory of God. Learn more at 633collective.com. And if you like what we do here at Beholding Beauty, please consider financially supporting us at patreon.com/633 Collective. Check out our tiers, toss a few bucks, and enjoy behind the scenes content, bonus episodes, and early access seasons. Join now at patreon.com/633collective.